Hey, I'm Doc here on another episode of the Midnight Chronicles, and I'm joined today by none other than the renowned cryptozoologist and author, Mr. Ron Coffey. Ron, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going really well, man. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So, to those who are not familiar with your work, I'm very familiar with your work. Ron, please give a brief bio of yourself to the audience.
Okay, well, I have been doing this type of research better than 50 years, actually. I like to say I did it before it was even cool. I've been probably been interested in it all my life. I was one of those kind of people that he's always interested in, even as a little guy, ghosts and mysteries and things like that. So, um, probably, the first thing that really got me interested in this was back when I was in grade school. Checked out a little book out of the library called "The Yeti and the Loch Ness Monster." I read that, and that really piqued my interest. And then, of course, the Patterson film came out a little bit after that. So I started really investigating, studying it, everything as a teenager. So I have, honestly, I've studied Bigfoot. I've tracked Bigfoot all throughout most eastern Kentucky and parts of North Carolina. I did have an encounter with what's become known as a Bearilla here locally.
Mhm.
But at that time we really didn't know what it was. I was with some cousins of mine. I was probably early teens. They were probably 17, 18 years old, and we were someplace we wasn't supposed to be, as usual. And we this was an old house. We was sneaking around. It had been abandoned forever. There's a lot of weeds and brush and everything around it. And we saw something coming around the corner on all four legs. Now we have a lot of this farming community. There's a lot of cattle and everything. So first thought was it was some type of a bovine or something. So then my cousin, he grabs something and runs up and throws it at it. When he hits it, it just stands up on two legs. And we get a pretty good look at it there, and it's probably maybe 6 feet tall, but it had the huge ears and the elongated snout. So we took off running, of course, and it chased us a few feet, and then it veered off to the left, went out through some brush. So, we came back, told everybody we got chased by a werewolf. Of course, people wouldn't know what we were smoking, which which wasn't the case that time. It might have been other times, but that time. And that really got me interested too, because I know what I saw, whether anybody else believed it or not.
Mhm.
So I got to studying there, and I've since learned that was what referred to as a Dogman, or some people call them werewolves. Here locally, it got the name Bearilla some years later.
Mhm.
And I've just I've written I've written 5 books so far. I've studied. I've been to Loch Ness. I went out that way. We uh, we caught the nest monster, but we threw him back in. But anyway, that was a pretty interesting little trip. So
Mm.
I've I just kind of been running around the woods and looking for stuff since I was, a teenager. Really, like I said, over 50 years. So
Yeah, yeah. So this Barilla creature, where does it get its where's the origins of the legend? Like how did that come about?
okay, it all started back in 1972. In Kentucky, everybody used to raise tobacco, and tobacco is very dependent on weather conditions.
Mm.
And there's one when you get to the final step of your tobacco processing, if this step has to be done when it's misty or slightly raining, and it doesn't last long. You have to grab your window of opportunity. And this particular farmer was out about 5 a.m.
Mm.
going out to check his tobacco, see if he could go ahead and continue processing it. And to the right, he saw something white. Now, at that time, there was a breed of cattle called the Charolais, which was solid white. Everybody was buying Charolais at the time.
Mhm.
And these things were impossible to keep in. It was terrible. But anyway, it wasn't at all unusual to find Charolais cattle walking down the road. So his first thought was, oh, there's somebody's Charolais cattle there. But then it stands up, it's on two legs, and it walks across in front of him. And that's when he got a better look at it. He said it was walking with a very, very pronounced hunch, but it had long, shaggy white hair, very long snout, and big ears. It just crossed the road in front of him and proceeded on across the field somewhere. And he went on, of course, and checked his tobacco. He was 76 years old. He wasn't going to get out and chase it. So anyway, he reported that to the sheriff later that day.
Mhm.
The sheriff went out. He looked around. He couldn't find anything. But anyway, the news media, they found out about it, so they wanted to interview him about it. And one of them asked him, what did it look like? He said it looked like to him was half bear, half gorilla. The news media at that point dubbed it Bearilla, and it's been considered Bearilla in this local area. So it's basically just a regional name of the Dogman or werewolf, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
It's just basically a regional name. And that's back in 1972, and it was spotted several times around. A little bit, few weeks after that, a hunter was down on Hingston Creek at 6 a.m. when something attacked him from behind, pushed him down, roughed him up pretty good. He didn't get to see it really good. But he did see its hands. He said they had like human-like hands, but they were of course much larger, and it had talons. So
Mhm.
anyway, he wound up being he had to be treated at the local hospital for deep lacerations and a lot of bruising and so forth. Well, when word got out about his attack, people in this area was already rather leery of this creature that was prowling. So that set off what I call the Great Monster Hunt of
Oh.
'72.
Mhm.
Now, you got to remember, this is a rural area. Everybody's got guns. Most people have dogs, hound dogs.
Mhm.
Most people are hunters. So they all got their dogs and banded together, and they were going to try to track this thing down. Well, the dogs, they didn't have any problem at all picking up the scent. So they led them on quite a wild chase through a lot of territory, through woods, hills, across creeks, everywhere else.
Mhm.
And finally, it ended at an old tobacco barn. Now, they wouldn't open the door up to let the dogs in. Well, the dogs would not go in. They whimpered and cowed down, and it was not going to go in there. And these are bloodhounds. They're pretty much fearless.
Mhm.
So, considering it was getting close to dark anyway, they said, well, maybe we're not going to go in there either. We're gonna surround this barn, and we're gonna wait till morning, and then we're gonna go in. Well, they surrounded it, and supposedly they were watching the barn real good. Now I know some of these guys, and I would not be at all surprised if there wasn't some alcohol involved there somewhere. But anyway, next morning they opened the door, and then the dogs rushed right in, no fear at all. They went in. There was nothing there. The only thing they found was maybe what could have been like a claw mark on part of the wall of the barn, and it led up to the top of the barn where a sheet of tin had been ripped off the barn. And one of the things surmised was it climbed up there, took tore the tin off, and climbed back down on the other side, or jumped or something, and they just plain didn't see it. So anyway, that was a great monster hunt.
Mhm.
'72. And
At least they were able to track it down. It seems like
yeah,
they were close to getting it.
right. Yeah, maybe if it had been a little bit earlier, before it started getting dark, they might actually could have got in and saw it. But it's getting dark. Of course, the barn's even darker inside, so
Hmm.
they did want to go in there.
No, I don't blame
So
them.
no, not really. But anyway, the hunter. Well, I understand he got cut up pretty bad from whatever it was. And it hung around this area. People caught glimpses of it from time to time, and then it just kind of disappeared. And I don't think there's been anything spotted in this area for a while that I know of. At least or not that I can think of right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you about. Was you think that the Barilla is linked to what's commonly referred to as the Dogman phenomenon?
I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. And
Yeah, just
we still, I mean, at least I personally myself, I see tons of Dogman reports coming out of Kentucky. I
mm-hmm.
mean, it's Kentucky and Tennessee as well, and Illinois, Indiana, and then Michigan. You've got the Michigan Dogman, obviously, and people are still seeing it
All
up
right.
there. And then over in Wisconsin, you've got the Beast of Bray Road, and then even down south, you've got reports of Dogman around Taylor, Mississippi, and then of course the Rougarou in Louisiana, and yeah, it's just it's a nationwide phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
you've got what they call the Wahila
Hmm.
up in the northern Yukon area too.
Yeah. Do you think? I'm sure you've heard of it. Do you think that the Dogman and the Barilla? Do you think that because we've got a legend here in Tennessee called the Wampus Cat,
Uh,
and I'm sure you
I've
have
heard
it.
of it.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe that might be a like a Dogman type creature, or do you think that that might be something different?
What I've understood about what they call a wampus cat, it's more like a really large panther.
Hmm.
And Kentucky does have its share of black panthers. Now, Fish and Game, they say that they're not here, but they've been spotted plenty of times.
Hmm.
What they are, how they got here, I really don't know. But for what I understand, wampus cat's more along the lines of a mountain lion or something. For
Hmm.
what I hear about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here in Tennessee, they've actually got game camera footage of mountain lions here that are not supposed to be here,
Right.
and and uh, if you check the Tennessee uh, wildlife website, they now list mountain lions being here in this state, even though they won't
Mm-hmm.
officially say that they're here or that they have a breeding population. Um, they swear up and or they'll swear up and down that they're not here in any sort of capacity,
Mm-hmm.
um, but they are recognized here in this state as being here now.
It's the same in Kentucky. It still does not officially exist, but they have been filmed. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people have seen them. I've seen one myself.
Mm-hmm.
So the mountain lions are here,
Yeah.
whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah. And they're kind of the fact that the government wants to say that they're not here, but we know that they are here. That kind of makes them a cryptid in and of itself, doesn't it?
Some ways, yes, especially those black ones. They're so much larger
Mm-hmm.
than the regular mountain lion. I don't know if it's true or not, but some years back, someone had told me that someone at Fish and Game admitted that they had imported these black panthers out of South America. They
Mm-hmm.
control the deer population. I don't know if it's true to that or not, but that's the story I've heard.
Yeah. It's really weird to me that people report black ones because scientists have often said that it's impossible for mountain lions to get a black coat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's what they say.
yeah, but people are seeing them left and right, and they've been caught on camera. So
Mm-hmm.
having a black coat. So yeah, and areas that they're not supposed to be in to begin with. So it's yeah, it's
It's, I guess the way that they still are cryptid since they're still not acknowledging that they even exist.
hmm
I've seen one of those too. There's a graveyard here in Kentucky that's well known for its paranormal activity,
hmm
and it's kind of off the road, kind of into the wooded area. And there's a Black Panther there that just kind of circles the graveyard when you
hmm
go out there. You know, a paranormal investigator. It's kind of a mecca for ghost hunters.
yeah.
And you all talk about this panther just kind of wanders around it, just on on the other side of the fence. So almost like it's a guardian or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, yeah, I mean, and they say the same thing about the Dogman. At least Native Americans, uh they've always referred to it as like a guardian, kind of like it
Okay.
guards sacred places, and
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a video a couple of nights ago about that where uh the the Dogman in ancient Native American legends, which is interesting that it appears in ancient Native American legends. Uh, it is known to be uh, respected. It's not feared. It's respected because it
Mm-hmm.
is seen as a guardian of sacred places, which is yeah.
They seem to be do seem to be attracted to burial grounds quite
Yes.
often.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you spoke of Native Americans. When people ask me, well, how do you know that Bigfoot's real? How do you know Dogman's real? I said, well, it's quite simple. Native Americans said it was real.
Yeah.
It's in their legends, and I've interviewed Native Americans over the years. They don't exaggerate. They just say what it is what it is. And everyone I ever spoke to, I figured they were very competent. It's the fact that it goes back into their legends hundreds, maybe thousands of years, just tells me that it's real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't pardon my language, but they don't bullshit.
No.
They they have legends for every single animal that they encountered. They have legends about the
Mm-hmm.
eagle. They have legends about the deer and how this came to be and how that came to be. And then they have legends um about the Dogman and Bigfoot. And like the Bigfoot is the great teacher, or the brother of the woods, or the wild man, or
Mm-hmm.
and then the dog man is like the guardian of the sacred sites or whatever, and so they were pretty much reporting with their legends what they were encountering, and
Right.
yeah, they weren't
No, like
making it
I
up.
said, they didn't sit around and make up stuff just to mess with the white man hundreds
No,
of years later.
no.
It's just silly. If they say it's there, then it's there. They write about, talk about what they saw,
hmm
plain and simple.
Yeah.
There's no imagination, no baloney, as you put it. They write about what they know.
hmm Very much so. Very much so. So the one that you encountered, um, what what color was it? I'm talking
Kind
about
of
the Bearilla.
silvery white kind of color.
Okay. Okay. Is that a commonly reported? Because I know you said that the first reported sighting of a Bearilla was it was white. Is
I
that
read it.
yeah?
Well, it seems to be most of what's reported to this area is a lighter color, white or silvery gray, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, how many credible reports have you personally received of this creature?
Oh Lord, I don't know, 100 maybe. I don't know. I never really count them. A lot.
You lost count, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what would you say is the most harrowing encounter that you've ever received, or the most harrowing report that you've ever received?
well, the worst report I've ever received was a report 2015 where a man claimed to be actually attacked by three of them. Now, he was able to escape, but apparently he got made it to his truck, and they were still trying to get into the truck with him. He started out, one of them just kind of walked into the camp, just casually strolled into the camp. And then next thing you know, two more followed it in, and then they decided they were going to eat him or something. I don't know. But he managed to get away, and I don't remember all the details too. But it was, I would think it'd be pretty scary. And then of course then you have the other report in Land Between the Legs where the family and the camper was supposedly
Hmm.
killed by the Dogman.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that here in a little bit, but
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, that's that in and of itself opens up another can of worms. I mean that I mean I guess we can get into it right now. Yeah, the so you think this Barilla creature or the dog man, uh, do you really think? Well, I'll let you tell the story of what happened uh, in the land between the lakes.
Okay. It was May of 1981, just a very early part of the tourist season. A couple was walking in. They discovered what they thought was a crime scene. So they called the local police, and when the police got there, they found a camper. The camper was tore up. There was severed body parts everywhere, and they were able to piece together. It looked like an adult male, an adult female, and a smaller boy. And then as they began to check the insides of the camper, they also found articles that would point to possibly being a little girl there too. So they kind of found out in the woods for the girl, and they one guy was sitting down under a tree to rest, and when he did, a drop of blood fell on him, and he looked up, and the little girl what was left to her was hanging in tree limbs. The hand of the father was still holding on to some coarse gray silvery hair, and the same color hair was also on the bark of this tree. Now the coroner was called in, of course, but then the interesting thing is the state police they also arrived and they ordered the local um, law enforcement away. And then some of the people who lived in the area said they also saw vehicles that had other state symbols on them that they wouldn't really able to identify. But anyway, one long after that the people who may have seen it or know something about it was basically threatened. Don't talk about it. It'd be your job. It'd be your pension. It'd be whatever. So there's a really alleged cover up there.
Hmm.
Mm. But that whole economy to that area is dependent upon land between the lakes and tourists. And I think, well, most people think if they did want that story to get out, that a murder of that brood was bad, and then we talk about a monster on top of it, that would surely would have hurt the economy of that area.
Hmm.
And even the people who lived in that area that didn't actually see anything, they will tell that there was something happened by the unknown, unidentifiable vehicles and the general commotion that occurred at that time. So something happened there.
Hmm.
What it was, I don't know, but it is for sure that something did happen at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, and there've been other attacks in the land between the lakes as well. I mean, you have I heard a report from a ranger there at the land between the lakes where he was out fishing and he saw one of these creatures approaching a camp of a young couple, and he was trying to yell at them and wave at them, and I guess they thought he was waving in hello, but he was trying to warn them. And
Mm-hmm.
this creature ended up attacking and killing both of them, and and uh, and he was threatened with his job and his credibility,
Right,
by his management, to never
right.
speak about it, to never
It's
speak about
money.
it. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you got there was another report, I think. Um, I don't know the exact details, but it was a bow hunter that uh, had gone hunting in the land between the lakes, and he had gone missing. And uh, I think they found his tent, and there was huge slash marks in his tent, and
Mm-hmm.
drag marks, um, like he was dragged away. And they found him, and if I'm don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was found partially consumed and decapitated.
Right.
I don't know if you'd heard of that one.
I haven't heard of that one, but I know there's, like you said, there's several different instances has occurred in that area. So there's this definitely something there, and it's not at all friendly. It's a very vicious critter.
Mm-hmm.
We had East Kentucky some years back. They had a boy. I don't know. He's 14, 15 years old. Was killed, and they only said killed by a canine type creature,
Mm-hmm.
but it drug him a long way uphill from where he was actually attacked, which, a dog, I don't think could drug him that far.
No, usually wolves or dogs, they will eat their kill right where they kill it.
Right,
They won't
right.
drag it off. So yeah.
So anyway, I just consider it's a canine creature.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they say, which I've always thought, okay, that's probably a dog man.
Yeah. I saw the news report about that. I actually watched the video about that. Um, and yeah, the coroner or whoever did the investigation of it, they ruled that as an unknown canine
Uh-huh.
attack. Yeah. And yeah, he was dragged up a hill. This was recent too. Yeah, he was dragged up a hill and partially consumed. And yeah, it's sad. It's very sad. Yeah, but
Right.
and you hear a lot of these podcasts that are coming out that are talking about this creature, and they usually say, "Well, the Dogman, it just wants to scare you. It just wants to, uh, it just wants to scare you. It's not actually going to hurt you." But there are plenty of reports of these.
That thing, that thing's vicious. You might just, you could say it about the Bigfoot. Bigfoot might just want to scare you. And all those dog men or whatever they are, those things are out for blood. They're a very primitive minded creature. They like to kill.
Yeah, they have an intelligence to them. A lot of eyewitnesses say that when they look into the eyes of these dogmen,
Hmm.
um, they have an intelligence to them. Like, and a lot of them report um, it giving them like a grin, like a smile, like I could get you right now if I
Hmm.
wanted to.
Yeah,
You
that
get.
reminds me of a case happened in 1944 here in Kentucky in oh shoot, county slips of mine at the moment. It's up in the Paintsville, coast of Paintsville.
Hmm.
Boy was fishing. It's in Johnson County, I don't remember. He was fishing and he caught a pretty good sized stringer of fish. And as he was bringing it, getting ready to go home, this canine type creature attacked him and just grabbed all his fish. Now, the times were rough in Johnson County, and maybe the only food he's going to have.
Hmm.
So he put up quite a fight with that creature. But it finally got him and managed to just basically toss him over into some rocks and stuff and grabbed his fish. And he said, and once the guy's fish had stopped, and turned around and grinned at him like, "Aha, I got your fish," and took off.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason this story became known was a nurse at the local hospital reported because the boy was took to the emergency room. He was banged up pretty bad, and the nurse overheard his mother saying, "Don't you tell that story. I think we're crazy. We have to live here." But the boy did tell a story to the attending physicians, and that's how that story leaked out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, they've been reported to have this sort of grin, like they like what they do, you know,
right there,
they like what they're doing to you, and the ones that I've heard that have gotten away from this creature, uh, they suffer PTSD symptoms, you know. Is
well, it's scary. You're
yeah,
being chased by something that doesn't make a bit of sense to exist.
yeah,
And it's one of the few, I don't know, you want to call it animals or whatever, that seems to actually hunt people. It will go out of its way to attack people.
mm-hmm.
You know, things like bears, things like that. If you corner one, sure, it's going to fight back, but it doesn't make any conscious effort to try to fight you. But this Dogman thing seems that it's kind of like a pleasure kill, really.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. And so I'm speaking to the audience now that's listening to the to this podcast. Uh, your your parents have always told you, and everyone's always told you that monsters do not exist. And here I have a renowned cryptozoologist. Ron, what would you tell them?
There are monsters, definitely are. There's plenty of things we call monsters. There's so many things that we just don't understand.
So monsters do exist.
That monsters exist. Yes, they do.
So
Some are friendly, and some are actually do monster type things. So, yeah, they are out there.
yeah, it's not the dark you need to be afraid of. It's what's in it that you need to be afraid of.
Right,
The darkness is not going to
right.
hurt you, but
That's correct.
yeah. So, what do you think it is? What do you think this Dogman, Bearilla, Rougarou, Beast of Bray Road, what do you think it is? Do you think
I
it's flesh
think
and blood, or do you think it's paranormal?
no, it's flesh and blood. I think that it is a creature that mainstream science has said is extinct, but it's not. It's a creature known as Amphicyclone.
Mm-hmm.
In the genus Amphicyclone, also called a bear dog, which was kind of had the characteristic of the biggest, baddest bear you don't want to see, biggest, baddest dog you want to see, but yet it's not a direct ancestor either. It's its own particular species. And the descriptions match this bear dog match very closely to what people are calling the Dogman now. And some years back, Ivan T. Sanderson, one of the pioneers in the field, he threw out this legend, theory many years ago
Mm-hmm.
that the Dogman or bear dog did not go extinct; it is still alive. Now, all scientists that do agree that it existed at least 100,000 years ago, but most think it went extinct as recently as 5 or 6,000 years. Now,
Right.
that's a long time, but in the grand scheme of time, it's not much. But Ivan T. Sanderson, he put out that theory that no, they're still alive, but he was explaining the thing called the Nahanni Valley
Mm-hmm.
headhunt.
Oh
And of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
he was ridiculed big time for that. But now, as time goes on, people are beginning to come around. A couple of years ago, I took a trip to the Smithsonian in Washington. They have a skeleton of one of these, and it's standing up on two legs. I took a picture of it. It's exactly what most people talk about is when they say a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm convinced it's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean that there's no right or wrong answer because we don't have one of these here
We
in,
don't know.
yeah, I mean, we don't have one of these here in our basements, do we? So, so,
Well, hello,
well, I
hello.
mean, some might argue that we do, some might argue that the government is trying to cover all of this up and that they actually do have specimens of these things. But, yeah, we don't have one here to actually study ourselves, so, there's
Mhm.
no right or wrong answer to that. So, what have you done in the Bigfoot world? I know that you research that and investigate that as well.
Well, let's see. I've been all across East Kentucky and then down in the Uwharrie Mountains in North Carolina. Back about 2010, I almost got to kind of got to know one. Some people one morning or one at night, I mean, they woke up and there was this horrible stink all around the house
Mm-hmm.
with no real origin. Well, the next day, next night, woke up that stink was there again, but they were farmers, and when they went out, the farm equipment had been moved around. Now you couldn't move it without a tractor, but something had moved it around, and there they found the tracks. So they had me come out and investigate. So I hung around there about 3 weeks actually, and this I would do the tree knocking and so forth. They would knock back at me, and as time went on, it got fairly close to me. I never could see it because it was in the brush, the woods, but I could tell it was fairly close. And when I first started encountering it, it stunk bad. But then as it got used to me, it seemed like I got older, went away. So I'm thinking that's some kind of a defense mechanism, kind of like a skunk or something that it can make that odor at will. But anyway, it's about 3 weeks or so. And one night, um, I was out there and I did get a glimpse of him, just very briefly. Now, they don't stand around, pose for pictures, but when I saw it, it was standing behind a uh, fence, standard woven wire fence. And the fence is 5 feet tall. And the bottom uh, top wire of the fence struck him about where the first rib is.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that means he probably was about, well, he's about 8 feet tall because it's maybe a little bit more than that. And as soon as he saw me, he just stepped back into the darkness and he was gone again.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, well, how come nobody ever gets a good picture of these? Well, it all happens so fast. I mean, I knew he was there. I couldn't have got a good picture of him myself. I inspected him.
Mm-hmm.
So you're suddenly surprised when you think you can't get a good picture of it. And we have another one. We have several what I call celebrity Bigfoot here in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
One of them that I've got a cast from, we call him Stubblefoot. He, you could tell where he'd been walking through the grass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really and truly, it's hard to get good prints in Kentucky because most of the time they're on grass or it's in mud or baked clay. None of those are great for getting tracks. But we could trail this thing through the grass. You notice every so many steps, it seemed like it would fall down.
Mm-hmm.
It was having trouble standing up. So finally, one time I was able to trail it, or across the creek. I did get some good tracks there. And its left foot was, oh, I don't know, 13, 14 inches long, but normal. But its right foot was 18 inches long, very wide, very oversized, and slightly crooked in the stride. So this was a handicapped Bigfoot. So we named him Stubblefoot. So I have heard any reports of him recently. He was around for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
then Carter Caves State Park has one they call Big John. He's a uh, white Bigfoot as well. He used to be seen going through garbage cans, their park.
Mm-hmm.
There's one down in Edmonson County. They call him Howdy. The he walks up and down the roads a lot, and he likes to wave at people. So they call him Howdy. And then there's another one in Harlan County that they call Alfalfa. You ever watch some old Real Rascal shows?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
Yeah.
Alfalfa that looks like a hair sticking straight up.
Yeah.
Well, this Bigfoot has the same kind of spikes sticking straight up, so he's been named Alfalfa.
That's cute.
That they seem to they're more active in April and October,
Yeah.
and most of them seen, of course, in the Daniel Boone National Forest.
Mm-hmm.
But Anderson County also has a show, and up in Jefferson County, around the Jefferson National Forest, excuse me, there's been several Bigfoot sightings there, but most of them are toward in the Daniel Boone National Park, up toward maybe like a northeast section.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do you,
Kentucky Bigfoot is averages out about 8 feet tall. They're a little bit smaller than ones they have in the Pacific Northwest, and
mm-hmm.
they're a little bit larger than the ones you hear of down in the Bayou country and the Everglades.
Yeah, the skunk ape.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Now they have been. Some people have said they saw them, and they were much larger, but there's no reference point there except for one. In Fleming County, there's a Maxi Flats nuclear waste disposal area, and some years back it was leaking, so they had to recap it. Everybody do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it had a 10-foot chain link fence around it, and people reported seeing a Bigfoot that would come up to the fence at night and just kind of look over their progress. And they said that he was quite a bit taller than that chain link fence. So we're thinking maybe he may be 12 feet or so. That's the biggest one I've ever heard of, that we actually have a reference point that we can
Mm-hmm.
give an accurate estimate of its height.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another thing too, the Bigfoot in Kentucky also has a very, I guess, the highest number of white Bigfoot, just like our Dogman are white. Our Bigfoot are white as well. We have a large population of white Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you say that because I had a Bigfoot sighting myself, and I saw it myself, and when I went, and I'm not saying anything against him. He's a friend of mine, and I like him. But I went on Vic Cundiff's show, Bigfoot Eyewitness Radio, and that's what I
Uh,
reported because when I turned around to view this creature, and as it was running down the road, um, it looked white. You know, like when I first turned around and saw it, because it darted into some shadows, that were overcasting the
mhm,
road from the trees that were, on the opposite side of the
mhm.
road. But when I first turned around, it looked white, and um, and when I talked to Vic Cundiff about it, uh, he was like, "Well, it may have been because it was a full moon out that night, and so that's how I was able to see it so clearly, because it was casting light everywhere, and
Mhm.
he's like, it may have been the moonlight that was shining off of the fur of the creature." And I'm like, well, I
No.
all I can tell you is that it looked white when I first turned around to look at it, and then it darted into the shadows. And as it ran down the road, um, I was expecting it to break from the shadows, maybe like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, maybe a minute to reach,
Mhm.
to where it would break out of it, and I would be able to actually see it, because there was a clearing. Um, and it it was so fast, it was so
Right.
fast, and it got there before I thought it would get there, and it stepped out, and uh this thing was the biggest thing I've ever seen, so it was
Mhm.
but I could only see the silhouette of it, I couldn't see the color from
Right.
that distance, but
Right.
um, I could see the silhouette, and it was the biggest thing. And I actually, because it passed under a tree branch. Um, when I first turned around, I saw it pass under a tree branch, and I went out and actually measured it, the day after, and it was about 8 to 9 foot tall.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people think that Bigfoot hunts for its food.
Yeah.
And maybe it does in the Pacific Northwest or something, but I think they're omnivores myself. I think they're creatures of convenience. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a pure carnivore for sure, because we trailed one some years back in snow. This particular one walked through a field that was full of newborn lambs, walked through the field, went to the barn, and broke open the grain bin and was eating grain. It did not bother any of those sheep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a pure carnivore would have been a smorgasbord for sure. So I
Yeah.
don't think they're pure, at least the one that this one wasn't a pure carnivore, put it that way. And another time, a man reported he raised goats, and he was seeing this Bigfoot would kind of hide from a distance and watch the goats. Never hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
One day he had to do some fence mending, so he had to round up all his goats. He put them in one of these 10 by 10 dog pens and shut them up in there. The next day he come out and all his goats was out, and his pen looked like something just grabbed both ends of it and just squeezed forward, just buckled it in. And there were tracks all around there, but nobody was harmed. Just like the Bigfoot didn't like the idea of him shutting his goats up in there. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll eat what they can get their hands on, and maybe like some areas they have to hunt. Here in Kentucky, there's no need of that. Food's everywhere. They can nothing else. They can go down there and swipe a pig or something if that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
But there's several instances of them getting it. They love sweet feed. It's you normally get livestock.
I've heard of
They
that.
love
Yeah.
that. You know. So
They
I don't know.
I've heard of them stealing salt licks too. Like,
Really,
yeah, like
well,
rock salt licks. Yeah, I've heard of them
uh-huh.
stealing those. Yeah.
I haven't heard of that, but it does make sense. So.
Yeah. I mean, you need salt in your diet, so I mean that'd
Mm-hmm.
be an easy way to get it. But yeah, I've heard of them stealing those too. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Ron, to get back to the Bearilla and Dogman, which one do you think would win? Because I've heard reports of these two entities entering into um uh, fights, uh, Bigfoot and the Dogman. Which one do you
Mm-hmm.
think would win in a fight?
I would think the Bigfoot could outmuscle it. Now, but if the Dogman was able to slash it deep enough, cut on its throat or someplace like that, then it could win. So it'd be hard to say really. About kind of lean toward the Bigfoot. Probably it would more powerful. It could overcome the Dogman. At least
Right.
that's my opinion.
Okay. All right. And this is something I forgot to do earlier. I was gonna do it earlier, but I actually wanted to. Have you ever heard a dogman howl?
I heard something. Hey, I'll put it that way. I've
Okay.
have heard some strange howls. I can't swear that they were Dogmen though. Yeah. Of course, we do have a large population of coyotes and so forth in this area. It might be one
Mm-hmm.
of them just making a different sound. I have heard several strange howls,
Right.
but I can't swear they were Dogmen.
Right. I've got some recorded alleged dogman howls, and I would like you to take a listen to them if you would.
Okay.
All right. So, Ron, what do you think of those? Those were recorded in the land between the lakes by a few of them were caught by just people that were camping there, but a
Mm-hmm.
few of them were caught from actual seasoned investigators.
Right. Well, it's definitely not a coyote. Definitely not a dog.
No.
It's if it's a normal wolf, it's an awful big one. It's awful. It's too deep to be a wolf.
Yeah.
So, actually, I can't swear as a dog man, but I can tell you it's not for sure not coyote or a dog, and probably not a wolf. It seems maybe two or three of them there maybe. It's, a couple of times right before the howl, you could hear just a slight yelp. Now that sounds kind of like a dog, but that howl, no, that's I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, kind of like a it's kind of like a cross between like a howl and a scream. You know what I
Right.
mean? You
Right.
know? You
Yeah,
know?
that's what I say. It's too deep of a sound to even be a wolf. It's just an awful big one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you what it isn't. Put that way.
Yeah, I mean the people that recorded those recordings, those vocals, they didn't see what did it, but you know, you put two and two together. I mean, you have legends of this thing in the land between the lakes, and
Right.
you know, you then you hear something like that. Yeah, all of those were caught, like I said before, in the land between the lakes.
Right. Some is pretty close to it. I don't know if I want to stick around that close, but
No, no,
yeah.
no. Some people actually seek these things out, which I usually tell them don't do that. Like,
Uh, I don't. I don't think actually try to corner one myself.
no.
Those things are dangerous.
I mean, you
I,
searched for them, but you, you don't
yeah,
you don't you don't want to see one though.
you don't want to rile it up. That's for sure.
No, no, definitely not. Especially after what we were talking about earlier with them
Right.
mauling and killing people and eating them. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I don't mean to be laughing at that. That's not funny, but at all. You know, that's tragic and it's terrible. But yeah, it does
It's
happen.
funny though that some people still think they're going to go out there and hunt it and catch it or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and so these things have been shot. I mean, there are reports of these things being shot and bullets not affecting them. They still get up and
Hmm.
it's like a love tap, being
Right.
shot with a rifle or something. Um,
Yeah, in a lot of cases it didn't lead to an immediate death. They might have died later, but anytime you're hunting something like that, of course, shot placement is important, as
mhm.
well as having caliber that's big enough that if you shot one with a small caliber, it could very well uh, not hurt it really. It might die of infection or something
Yeah,
later, but
yeah.
at that moment, it's not going to stop it.
No. You need a
You have
military.
to have
Yeah, I've heard of.
you
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
12 gauge blood or something like that to really do it in, or
Yeah.
30 else, something big like that. You can, if you're out there with a little 22 or something, you're not going to do it. It's not
Yeah.
going to work.
No. No. I've heard people who've reported seeing these things and they didn't want to shoot it because they feared that it would just piss it off. and and
If I didn't have adequate firepower, I would just kind of let it
yeah,
go on.
yeah. I mean that is if it wants to go on, but yeah,
Right.
but yeah. And
Sure.
I've heard a few people. I've spoken to a few people who've seen these things. Um, one was down near Carthage, Tennessee. They saw it they saw it run across the interstate as they were coming home, and and the other one I talked to, they were going up. Uh, I don't know if it's interstate or state route 85 outside of Gainesboro, and they were going towards I think Gallatin, Tennessee, and
Mm-hmm.
they saw it cross the road and go into someone's driveway, and it was on all fours. And both of them, when I asked them, I said, "What do you think? What do you think the firepower would be needed to take one of these things down?" They said, nothing conventional. Something maybe military grade could do it, but that would be even a stretch. like so
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. You want to take it down with a 30-06. I'm not sure, but I'd rather go out with one of these 50 caliber
mm,
sniper rifles,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or
Try to be.
or a 12 gauge slug if you were close enough. But that's being awful risky getting that close to one.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go out after anything less than a 30-06. I would have preferred something even bigger, even like a 300 Magnum or something like that. Even, but
Yeah, yeah.
30-06 was the smallest thing I'd go out there hunting one.
Right, right. So, Ron, I'm gonna wrap things up here on the show. So is there any closing comments you want to say about this creature that we've been talking about, or maybe the Bigfoot that we've been talking about?
Well, Bigfoot overall, I think it's a peaceful animal. I would advise people if you encounter one. I mean, they're not aggressive. That being said, I'm not going to walk up to it and kick it in the kneecap or anything. But overall, I would say not in any real danger. A dog man, if you see one of those, you need to get to a safe place because you are in danger. If it's an area, you are in danger. If you don't mess with these things, it's just don't do it. Be careful.
Right, right. Is there anything that you're working on currently? Do you have a new book coming out, or are you still doing
Let's
investigations?
see. Right, the last book I've put out is called "Wartime Encounters with Monsters." Also have one called "American Werewolves: True Encounters."
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I have Kentucky Cryptids out.
Yep.
Then we have one with called Gateway Ghosts, the local legends. That's storage is local to my particular area.
Mm-hmm.
But right at the exact moment, no, I'm not actively working on anything. I just kind of looking for ideas at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, Ron, it has been a pleasure speaking with you on this show, and
Yeah, you too.
I've had so much fun talking with you and just hearing your stories, and they're not stories, they're encounters, um,
Right.
but I've had it's been a blessing having you on the show. Thank you so much for
Well,
doing it.
thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. You're welcome back anytime.
All righty. Okay.
All right.
Catch you later.
Catch you later, man. Bye.
Bye.